everyone, this is Mike.
And this is Josh.
And we are Must See Before You Die, a channel dedicated to horror and collectibles and trailer reviews and just anything in the genre of horror. And today, Josh, I'm going to let you tell everybody. I know I'm kind of going to lead this on the storyline, but maybe one of the, many people call it maybe one of the best horror, definitely one of the best science fictions out there. But you want to tell us a little bit what we're going to do today?
So we are reviewing Ridley Scott's 1979 Alien. And this actually has a very high Rotten Tomatoes score for the critics and the audience. The critic score is a 98 and the fan score is a 94. I don't know if this is fact, but I think this might be the highest overall rated movie from Rotten Tomatoes that we have reviewed so far.
Yeah, it's really high, and I can see why it's that high. We'll give our we didn't discuss this, but we can think about it later on. How we're gonna rate this thing? Maybe a fire torch or something. I mean,
yeah,
fire torches. So the movie, as you mentioned, it's got Sigourney Weaver in it. Director was Ridley Scott, and kind of a backdrop on this movie. As soon as the movie comes up, it shows this thing where it says it's a commercial towing vehicle. Was it not Nostromo?
Nostromo, yes.
Yeah, it's got a crew of 7 people, and this ship actually is a refinery processing, looking for mineral oils, and it's got 20 million tons of mineral ore on it, and it's trying to return to Earth. So the whole movie starts out. You hear this music, some really cool space shots at the very beginning of it. Cool looking spaceship.
Right. I thought it was a great title screen, and it really set the mood for the whole movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, the alien was just kind of slowly coming up.
Yeah, it really just lingers on the letters and the music. And I feel like the music of this movie, like several movies we reviewed already, the music really sets the tone for this movie. Very, very good music in this movie.
Yeah, I agree, and it's kind of an eerie horror type sound. It's not like a slasher sound like in the 80s, but it definitely is a kind of a creepy horror sound.
Yes,
throughout the whole movie, and it actually really plays in well with the scenes that kind of the anticipation or the not knowing what's going to happen, kind of the eerie feeling of it. So it starts out on the ship. They're kind of walking through the ship, scanning the ship, kind of seeing what the ship looks like, and then all of a sudden you see this like an air chamber type device that's got all seven of them, the crew member, they're laying in it, and then they start slowly coming out.
That's like hypersleep. Right?
Yeah, hypersleep. That's the technical name for it. But it was really cool. You got to think back. This is 1979 when this came out. So some of these scenes, it's past the Star Wars time, but still, you can tell a lot of money was spent on this set to get this looking good.
Yes.
So here's where you have your 7 different crew members. I'm gonna go ahead and say their names and a couple of actors that play those. You got Dallas, which is Tom Skerritt. Did I pronounce that right, Josh? Maybe I didn't.
Yes.
You got Ripley, which is Sigourney Weaver, maybe her first big role in the movie.
Yeah.
You got Lambert, who is another female. There's only 2 females on this ship. Mm-hmm. Then you got Brett, Kane, Ash, and Parker.
Yeah.
Those are the 7 crew members that are on this spaceship.
Yeah.
So they're trying to go home. I mean, they get out. They're kind of laughing and talking and playing around, cutting up with one another, and then they get a kind of like a distress signal that they needed to go. The main Dallas, who's like the commander, needed to go, figure out what's going on. And when he goes and listens to it, there's a distress signal. That's like, I can't remember if it was ever 6 seconds or 12 seconds. It was trying to tell them something, right?
So the reason why they woke up early is because the main brain of the ship, which is called Mother, it's like a main program, and that woke them up early because of this distress call. And that's why they woke up early from their hypersleep to go check on this planet to see this weak signal that they got from distress call.
Yeah, and on that stress call, man, they listen to it, and it's kind of a eerie. It kind of sounds like a creature or something breathing or trying to communicate. So it does sound scary as they're listening to it. And a couple of the mechanics, I can't really tell in the movie if they're serious. I take it they're serious, but in a way they seem like they're playing. But they're all about this right here. Hey,
right,
we're not paid to do this. We're supposed to get more money for this.
Right, Parker and Brett are the mechanics.
Okay,
and they're the ones saying about the money and all this. And I think it's kind of crazy because right when they land on this planet, I don't know if I'm fast forwarding too much for you, Mike.
No,
but they land on this planet and like 50 things go wrong in the ship at once. Like this stuff starts blowing up and like all these like pressure valves and all this. And they ended up landing. And the planet, dude, is like desolate.
Yeah.
And it's just like 100-mile-an-hour winds. You can't see hardly anything.
Right.
I mean, they have to go out on this planet in these full spacesuits.
Yep.
Like full spacesuits.
Yeah, they're going to go check out and investigate it. So 3 of them go and check out the what's going on here. And Josh I was trying to understand this myself, and I didn't want to go back and rewind it. Is it another base or is it another spaceship they're actually going into? I was trying to figure that out.
It's a spaceship that is there.
Yeah. Yeah. So they go in, and this is where it starts really getting interesting. I mean, one thing I will say about this movie, I think you can testify to this, Josh, is it is a slow build up towards the very end.
Very slow build up. Some things happen in between, but for the most part, yes, it is a slow build up. So these 3, it's Kane, Dallas, and Lambert are the ones that go out there, right? Am I correct?
I think so, yes.
And they go out and they see this ship. And they're like, whoa, we've never seen anything like this in our entire lives.
Yep.
They've never seen, and Ash can see what they see, I think, right? Can Ash see what they see?
Yeah, they had a camera set up too, so they were trying to see what they were seeing. And so
Ash is watching this, and he's like very intrigued by this ship. Ash is. You could tell that once this signal comes through and stuff, Ash, you kind of realize that he's really paying attention to what's going on.
Yep.
And we'll talk more about that later.
Yeah, and Ash was the head of the science program on the ship.
Right. So he's very interested in this ship and stuff. And so yeah, they go in the spacecraft, and the ship is very creepy. It has very creepy vibes that they go into. They want to check out. They say the ship has been there for a long time, like a long time. I don't know. They don't know. They didn't say how long they thought.
I don't think they did. I don't think they ever said how long it'd been there. But they said, I don't know if you was getting ready to say this, but as they're exploring this, they find like a dead creature or dead. Might as well go ahead and call it alien. That was like it looked like it was sitting in some kind of gunner position, like it was in a fighting position and had like the guns of the ship or something, or the spaceship. But they go up close to it and start looking at it, and they start poking around with it. They're saying, "Man, this thing's been dead for a really long time."
It was like fossilized almost.
Yeah.
And it had a hole in its chest, and they were like, "Whoa, the bones are exploding outward."
Yep.
Like
inside out.
So I want to include this. So Ridley Scott went on to make other Alien projects. He made Prometheus, which is like part of the Alien universe. And they go on to explain that this creature in here is actually called an engineer. And he's I don't want to get into it here because Prometheus is not a horror movie, but it's connected to this 100%. They go on to say that engineers actually created like the human race and stuff.
Okay.
But so that's actually an engineer. In like a spacesuit. Later on, like in that movie, you go to realize that. And then he actually has another movie, Alien Covenant, that ties Prometheus and the Alien franchise together.
Okay.
So, just adding that here.
So as they're looking around, this thing, is kind of creepy looking. But as they're looking around, is it Kane the one? Was it
Kane? Kane goes down. Yeah, Kane goes down into this chamber, and why would you? Huh?
No, Once he gets down to the bottom of this thing, I mean, he's got his flashlight going all the way down. And when he gets down to the bottom, he realizes there's number one, a mist on the kind of the floor. But he
Yeah, it's
also
like a
notices that,
barrier.
yeah. And he notices there are eggs there and there's a layer of
Yes.
mist over them.
Yes.
And then
And
he
then
starts,
he falls.
huh?
He falls down into the eggs.
Yeah. Not a good moment in the movie for him. That should have been a premonition for him. So he starts checking them out and he finds out there's a movement in one of the eggs and he starts messing with it a little bit.
Well,
And-
there's something that happens before that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ripley discovers that actually was not a SOS. It was actually a warning saying stay away from that
That's
ship.
right. That's right. Yep.
Ripley discovers that, and she says it's actually a warning. It's not an SOS. And one of the crew explores and finds the bunch of eggs, and he's messing around. He's shining the flashlight in there. He sees something squirming around, and this is a great scene right here, Mike. I mean, this guy's a scientist. Why is he sticking his face right over the top of this thing?
I don't know.
So the egg opens up, and all of a sudden he's looking in. Boom! Just on his face.
Yeah.
Listen, though, I do have a question. When we get to the part where they show that more, I have a question about that.
Yeah.
But you don't see anything else. You just see, and it jumps on his face.
Yeah.
It's like a scare moment. And the three, and then all of a sudden, you see like Dallas and Lambert have him back at the ship. That's right, Mike?
Yeah, and they're wanting to get in, and Ripley is following protocols, and protocols were to not let them in because they finally have to tell her, said, hey, he's going to die. And she's like, well, no, you got to wait 24 hours before you come in. He said, he'll be dead within 24 hours. So
Right.
she was not going to let him in.
She was following protocol.
Yeah, she's following protocols. Dallas, who's the commander, he's pissed off. You know, the girl's pissed off. Lambert with him. She's pissed off. Ripley's following protocols, which is Sigourney Weaver.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, you know, he asked her 3 or 4 times, this is a commandment. This is, you know, you need to do this. I'm giving you orders. She still won't do it. And then all of a sudden, Ash goes over and opens the door and allows him to come in.
Well, it's all going to make sense why he's doing all this in a little bit.
He's also the one. Ash is also the one that Ripley. When you just brought that up a while ago, Ripley says, "Well, one of us should go and warn them before, you know, while they're down there." And he's like, Ash was like, "Well, they'll know once they get there. Like, it's no big deal."
Right. So they get Kane into like a surgery type place, and they take off his helmet, and this face hugger is like right like this on his face, right, Mike?
Tails what do you think that thing looked like, Josh?
Huh?
What do you think that thing looked like?
Like a mix between like a crab and a spider, and I don't know.
I thought it was like an octopus. It reminded me of like an octopus and a crab together.
It's got that long tail like a stingray almost.
Yep.
But it wraps around his throat.
Around his throat. Yep.
And it's over his face. And so they try to cut it off. And that is a bad mistake. Well, they tried to take it off first, like physically, and it just wrapped around his throat and stuff tighter. So they try to cut it off, and we get the first. We understand why this thing. Its blood is acid, and it just drips and it goes through the floor. And they're like, "Oh crap!" And they didn't want it to burn through the hull of the ship, so they go to follow it down, and it does stop. But Kane. Now listen. So how did this? I want to know. How did the face hugger get through the glass of his face mask?
Well, I thought it was like indented in, like it cracked it and went in through it. That's the way I thought it looked like.
Oh, it looked like it was all melted around there, like the acid melted it.
Well, maybe that's how it got into it. I don't know.
How the acid wouldn't hurt it. The acid wouldn't come out unless it was injured. So that's why I was just wondering. But like you said, maybe it just broke through the glass. I don't know. But it did look like it was melted around the edges. But who knows? But maybe it did just break the glass. So, but yeah. Dallas and Ripley and Ash go to check on Kane because one of them, I can't remember, said, "Oh, you better go check on Kane. Something interesting has happened." I think it might have been Ash that said that.
Mm-hmm.
And so all three of them go check on Kane, and the face hugger is gone. And they're like, wait, where did this go? And so they lock the door, or they shut the door, and they're all looking for it. And
just falls out of the sky.
yeah, somehow. Listen, this is the first movie, so the lore is kind of wonky, with the later installments and different things. But we know from future installments that once a face hugger does what it does, it dies. It's dead. It can't move after. It doesn't move after that. It falls off and it's dead. So I don't know how it got up in the ceiling. Like I said, all the rules weren't set yet. You know what I mean? So
yeah, this is 1979. This is the first one. This is prior to all the other ones coming out.
That's right. So it could have moved afterwards and it died. But Ripley does not trust Ash. She tells Dallas that. She goes, I don't trust this guy. I don't know what's going on, but something about him, I just can't put my finger on it, but I don't trust this guy, Dallas. But Kane wakes up and
they're all eating a Cracker Barrel breakfast, and they act like they're all happy, and it's like singing songs around the table.
He's like, man, I'm fine. Oh, you know what? Michelle watched some of this with me, and one thing she did comment on, just the thing I'm throwing out there. She's like, man, a lot of people smoke cigarettes on a spaceship.
Oh man, that was nonstop at the beginning of it. Yeah, 1979. I mean, they were just. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't have beers right there. Like Pabst Blue Ribbons
everybody was smoking cigarettes. Well, not Ripley, but most of the other cast was smoking cigarettes. It's weird to see that because you don't see that in a lot of movies now. But
no.
But yeah, so what happens next, Mike, when they're eating?
So while they're eating, all of a sudden, his name is Kane, right? He starts coughing, like he's choking or something. He like he's having a problem eating, and so they try to help him out, and some of them at first looked at him like something was, maybe he was just choking on some food. Ash at this point is kind of looking at him real funny though, like. He's not even showing any emotions at all.
Right.
And he's the guy that's over the science department. Then all of a sudden they throw him up on the table. Like, I don't know why they do that, because like a reverse Heimlich maneuver.
Well,
they think
like you said, they think he's choking. So they might need to I don't know. But
so when he's laying on his back and they're trying to hold him down, all of a sudden they see a blood spot on his white shirt.
Yeah. It just goes, and they're like, oh.
Yeah.
They're like shocked. They're like, what's going on?
So they're trying to stick something in his mouth so he won't bite his tongue and won't swallow his tongue.
Parker is.
He's
Parker's
freaking out.
to do that.
And then Josh, I'm gonna let you, probably the most iconic part of this movie, the scene, let you explain that, but it was pretty awesome.
So he's sitting there and all of a sudden he's like, oh, then all of a sudden it's like, and they're like, oh God. And he gets quiet in there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like everybody's shocked because here's this alien that's busted out of this guy's chest. And this is, like Mike said, is an iconic scene. It's called the chest buster. That's what they call that little alien. It's called a chest buster. And it's a very early stages. So the face hugger, what its only purpose is to implant its egg into a host, human or animal or whatever. It could be anything. You know what I mean? So it could be anything that's living. It can have a host, and it grows in your chest and it busts out. And the thing, they're just looking at it, and all of a sudden they're all shocked, and it just like looks at them. It's looking at it, like surveying them, and then it just goes, meow, it takes off.
That's the only part of the movie that I thought was pretty cheesy, in my opinion.
I thought it held up, Mike, all right.
Man, it looked like it put a little puppet up on the thing, like something that turns its head like a little puppet. Well, somebody took a puppet and ran it straight across the table. I about died laughing when I saw that.
It is a puppet, Mike.
I know it is, but I'm talking about it looked like a puppet. But this is 1979. Now, when it came up out of the chest, that was pretty disgusting, because when it first created the hole, you kind of, the camera kind of came over like it was looking down in it. Then all of a sudden that alien came up. And it does look pretty scary looking until it runs across the table.
Yeah. So
at this point, it takes off. It like heads down the hallway of the ship and then they start breaking up into a group to go
Groups.
look for it.
Right.
And
And so they're looking for this small thing,
Yep.
they don't know that it grows very, very rapidly.
right.
Like super rapidly. Like it'll be a full mature whatever, I'll say adult male or female, whatever it is. It's not a female, they're male because the females are the queens, which get discussed later in a different movie. But it could do that in a matter of an hour or two. I mean, it could be fully lethal by then. So I don't know if this, I don't know, because this is an old movie, 1979, but like there is a cat jump scare. I wonder if this is like the first movie that used a cat jump scare. I'm not sure.
It actually happened twice in the movie.
Right. I'm not sure if it is or not. It probably isn't, but I mean, that became a trope over the years, like a cat jumping out and scaring people in a movie, So,
so they have this device at this point, I believe, that like senses movement, and that's what they're trying to carry around when they look for it, and that's when the cat jumps out. They think it's the alien, and the cat jumps out and scares them.
They don't have a lot of weapons on board. They have a couple flamethrowers. They have some like cattle prods. They don't
this
have
is
any
not a
guns.
warship. I mean, this was a mineral ore. It was
Right.
a refinery that was out trying to grab,
Right.
minerals and ores and bring them back.
They don't have guns, so they do have flamethrowers, and they have like I said, like cattle prods. So that's about what they got to fight this alien. And then Brett is with a group, and he's looking, and he kind of goes off by himself because he tried to catch. The cat scared him, and they ran off, and they were like, "Dude, why didn't you get the cat? Like, then we can have it, so we don't have to worry about it getting hurt, or like we don't have to think that that's the thing." And they're like, "Man," and so they kind of like shun him a little bit. So he goes off by himself. Which, come on, Brett, that he might as well said, "I'll be right back," because that was a death sentence.
Yep.
So yeah, he went looking for this cat, and then Brett finds some skin on the ground. And what happens next, Mike?
So, let's see. I'll make sure to look at my notes here. So the mechanic is still looking for the cat, and this is when the mechanic sees the alien for the first time, if I'm not mistaken, or we actually get a better glimpse of it for the first time.
Right. He finds that skin, and he's like, "What the heck?" Because it already morphed out of its old skin into the new skin, and you do get the glimpse of it. And yeah,
so he becomes he becomes the victim. We've already lost the guy that hosted the alien at the beginning, Kane, right?
Kane was the first.
Now, and then Brett, is his name Brent?
Yeah, and he gets a freaking second mouth right through the top of his skull.
Yep.
Yep. Taken out. Pretty cool kill, Mike, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, it was this thing has like these tentacle like things, and the finger, like the finger or point of them is really sharp. But I mean, the alien creature itself is a cool looking creature.
So, he has a mouth inside of his mouth, and that's what came out, and the mouth
opens up, and then another skull.
Right.
Yep. So, I kind of skipped down because it kind of went back and forth a little bit, but
yeah.
Next one I got is Dallas is out looking for it. They're trying to figure out a way they can kill this thing or get rid of it.
Right. They tried to like bring it in or trap it, and Dallas was almost like not like the bait, but kind of like he was kind of like searching and kind of thought, he took a flamethrower with him, Dallas did, and he was looking for this thing, and they were like, "Hey man, it's," and they had that tracker, so they could see it, and they were kind of telling him over a speaker, but it's dark in here. They could hardly see anything.
That's one of my favorite parts of the movie. I thought it was very intense because it showed the old computer screen, which reminded me of the Tron video games back in the late 80s. But it's the DOS prompt type computers, but it shows like this grid, and then wherever Dallas is at, all of a sudden this thing that's moving, he's looking for it and can't find it anywhere. And then and then they say, "Well, no, it's coming towards you," and so they keep going back and forth this computer screen, and it keeps coming right at him. And the girl Lambert's like crying. She's like, "It's gonna get you. It's coming right at you." And then and then Dallas gets to meet it himself.
So I like the part where it's dark and he's like, "Where?" And then he lights up, and then Alien's like, "Ah!"
Yep.
Like that at him. And that part's cool because they use this high pitched music with it. It's really cool, and I like how they kind of set Dallas up as like the leader. He's like the guy, but he gets taken out third, and you're like, "Wait, I thought this guy was like the guy." You know what I mean? So
Well, the thing
I like
about
that.
it is he's gone. You don't know what's happened to him. They did
Right.
when they went and looked for him. They didn't see any blood or anything, so they didn't know what had happened with him. They pretty much knew he was gone. He was dead, but there was
Yeah.
they didn't have any remnants of where he. I mean, that he was there or got killed there.
Right. And so, like I said, they're trying to trap it. Dallas got taken. I love, like I said, that's a great scene to me with Dallas. I agree with you, Mike. It was very well done. Music, everything. So they, Ripley goes and looks at, she goes into the mother thing and looks stuff up. Basically, the mother was told by whoever, this company, which is, I think later we figure out it's Wayland Company and other movies, but this company wants this alien. They want it. They want the alien. They want the egg. That's why they were sent there, to get the sample and all that. That's why the whole thing was done. They said they want it, and the crew is expendable.
Yeah, when I saw that on the screen, it says computer tells them they are to find the organism, and the crew is expendable.
And Ripley reads it.
Huh?
Ripley reads that.
Yep. And also I noticed on the computer screen, and you may know this from other movies, was this supposed to have taken place in 2037?
Yeah, in the future. I don't know
because on the top of the computer screens it kept saying like Project 2037. And I thought maybe that was what it's supposed to be, 2037, or I don't know. Maybe it was just me overthinking it a little bit.
Or maybe that was the planet.
Yeah, it could have been.
I don't know. I don't know, dude. I can't remember that. But we learned something right here, Mike, after she reads all this, and she's going to go tell Parker and Lambert about this. We learned that Ash is in on it. And you're like, man, this slimy son of a gun. But then you learn something else, that Ash is actually not as he appears. He is an android.
And that is pretty disgusting when that happened, man. That was a good scene as well.
Parker takes him out.
Yeah, he attacks Ripley and is beating her up pretty good. And I kept thinking, originally when I remember seeing it many, many years ago, I'm thinking, he's really working for the mother behind this. He's a mole, and he's just trying to, he's a scientist and he wants to get the science out of all this.
Nobody knew he was an android.
Yeah. Then Parker takes it, I think it was like a fire extinguisher or something, and hits him so hard in the head, his head falls off.
Well, Parker's not a small guy. I mean, this guy is a big dude.
He's a big dude.
Yeah.
But when he hits him, all this like white fluid, like milky substance starts coming out. So it took me even a split second when it happened. I'm like, is he an alien? Is he hosting an alien too? I mean, I've seen it before, but
so what's funny? Something I realized last night that I never realized is I remember when he's sitting around the table, he's drinking a liquid that's white. And I think you think it's milk, but obviously maybe it's just for his insides and it helps him run, because that's the liquid that came out of him.
Right.
And he was drinking that substance on a table, and maybe they just all thought it was milk. You know what I mean? So, I don't know, but yeah, so they,
So Ripley makes a comment that she thinks that they really wanted, the alien for the Defense Department. I thought that was interesting too when she said that.
Yeah, well, they got Ash working. They had to they
put him back together.
They rewired his wires. They got him working so they could ask him questions and he could answer. Basically, it was just a head though. So they ask him some questions, and then they just burn him. They burn him up.
I wrote this down because I thought it just shows what an a-hole he was. And he was an android, but he's still an a-hole. They start asking him questions, and he just starts kind of slowly smiling, and he's not even supposed to show
Yeah.
emotions because he's an android. And they're asking him questions, and he smiles and he says, "One thing I can say is you have my sympathy."
Yeah.
And then she goes, and then they just light him up. They burn him.
Because he's like, you won't make it out alive, basically, you know.
Oh, he was telling them that this is a perfect organism that didn't have any morals, and
Right.
he was admiring this alien organism.
Right.
He's an android himself, but he was admiring this species.
I thought it was funny. I put laugh out loud. They're still looking for this cat.
Yeah.
After this, they're going to look for this cat.
It's got 9 lives, and it's already used 2 of them real quick.
Yeah, so I thought that was funny. I don't know why they're still looking for this cat. So Lambert, I have that Lambert and Parker are both killed next by the alien. Parker tries to fight this alien like.
Well, so they make a pact that they're gonna blow the ship up, and because it said earlier in the movie that only 4 of them could get on this. I can't remember the name of it. I actually have the name of it, I think, in the fun facts here, but it would only hold 4 of them. So they were going to blow the ship up. So they're putting all these tanks together and all this stuff. Parker and Lambert are, and then, Sigourney Weaver or Ridley, she's going and still trying to find the damn cat. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if I got too far ahead of myself, but this is where the alien shows up with Parker and Lambert.
Right, and Lambert tries to fight this thing, like I said, like hand to hand almost, dude, and just gets taken out. And then Lambert's just standing there crying and gets killed. Like, come on, Lambert, you could have done something to help Parker out.
Yeah,
she just stood there and just got killed.
So also during this time period, Ridley is looking around, and
Ripley.
What did I call her? Ripley? I call her Ridley. I'm sorry.
You called her Ridley twice.
Okay, I was watching the Cowboys tonight, and I was thinking about Ridley. So Ripley, so she's looking, and then she comes into a major scene of the movie. Part of it was cut out, but in the original here, you want to talk about this part right here, Joss? What she walks into?
Well, I mean, what do you mean, the deleted scene?
No, the actual the cocoon area.
Well, that's a deleted scene.
Well, not the others are, but in the movie, you still see the part where Dallas is at.
Huh? I didn't.
I saw it in the version I watched.
In the version I watched, it was not there.
Really? Okay.
I didn't see anything with Dallas.
Really? The version I watched, actually watched it again today. When she walks into this big room,
you might have watched it. You might have watched the director's cut, dude.
Mine was 1 hour and 56 minutes. I don't know which one. I didn't see all the other bodies, but so this may or may not be in the movie that you watched, but in the version I watched, when she goes into this cocoon area, and she doesn't see the full. There's like a 4-minute part on the director's cut.
You know what? Maybe I fell asleep for a minute, but I don't remember seeing that part, Mike. So
okay,
you take it over, buddy.
Yeah. So she walks in here and she sees Dallas up into a cocoon type area, and he's half in and out of it. He can barely do anything, and he's saying she's got the torch with her, and he's mumbling something, and she's like, well, don't worry, we'll get you out of this. And he's saying, he's like, kill me. He's saying, hey, take me out of this. And what you can tell is that it's using an alien is using him as the host. So she finally, after the 3rd, 4th time saying it, she says, she didn't say anything. She just lit him up and lit him on fire.
See, the thing about that is that there's no face huggers. So they couldn't technically use them a host. And see, that's why in the deleted scene, it actually has the alien making Brent, and you don't see Dallas. He's not that far along yet, but Brent is almost fully formed into an alien egg. Just his head's visible, but the rest is an egg. And see, they retcon
I saw in the movie. I didn't see his full body, but like from maybe the chest up.
Well, see, they retcon that because now, in later movies, you need a queen for the eggs.
Okay.
Like, you can't just have, the alien can't make people into eggs. Because you have to have the eggs to have the face huggers to make more aliens. If you don't have that, then you don't have, you don't have anything. I mean, if it's just the one alien, he couldn't make any more face huggers.
Gotcha.
Unless he could make the egg, so that's why they were doing that. But I think, like I said, I think they retconned that later. But let's get back to the original story. Like I said, I don't remember seeing that, Mike. I still can go back and, because I rented it, I can go back and look and see if that part is in the movie. But I'm almost positive that wasn't, dude, because it's not in my notes at all.
So this was right before she set the self-destruct. So once she lights him up, Lambert and Parker are already gone.
Yep, she's headed to the escape pod. Well, the escape ship part.
So during this whole time too, it's counting down, which is kind of computerized voice, which kind of builds up on the music and everything. That she's just going to blow this. Blow
she
this
finds
mother's
the cat.
Yep, she got to get the cat though. So she does get the cat. And she does make it back to the I can't remember what this thing's called. There's actually a real name for it. It starts with an N, like not narcissist, but something similar to that. So she gets in there and she's it's kind of like a whole thing, like they go ahead and release us from the main ship, and it starts going away, and it's still counting down like 20, 19. And then finally it gets down to 0. And you see it's kind of like a rear view mirror, but she's looking out and this like atomic bomb type thing goes off, all these colors. And next thing you know, it's gone. It's completely gone. And you kind of feel like, the whole movie's over at this point.
Right.
And then Josh, I'll let you go ahead and take up what happens next.
So she's getting ready to go into hypersleep.
Yep.
And she gets down to her underwear and her shirt. And she puts the cat in a pod, closes it. She's hitting all these buttons, and all of a sudden, dude, a hand comes out at her. And she's like, whoa. And this alien, though, isn't like very aggressive, in my opinion. Just kind of laying there.
I didn't understand that.
It's like laying there in these wires or something in this ducking, and it's just kind of laying there, and it like could have attacked her at any time, in my opinion. But she ends up walking, being very quiet, putting on a spacesuit. She grabs like this gun. It's almost like a spear gun, but it's got a grappling hook on it. It's like a grappling hook. And she goes over and she sees this thing kind of like stirring around, very like, man, this thing could attack me at any moment. You can't see it that well. And she straps herself in, and it gets up, and she hits the thing, and it opens up the door, starts sucking stuff out, and the alien's like hanging on like this, and she goes boom with a grappling hook, shoots it right through the center. It goes flying out, and then she shuts the door, but then it, like the doll or whatever they use, like comes back and hits the door, because of the cord. And then that's it. I mean, then I think she blew it out
it's still hanging there, dangling out there, and all of a sudden she hits that booster on it, and it just disintegrates it.
Right, and then she gets into hypersleep, and that's the end of the movie.
Yeah,
and
I like
she
the end
says,
of the movie.
"I'll be."
When she signs off, she says,
"Right."
She lists all the names of the people that are deceased, or not there anymore, and then I think it was like a 6-week time period for her to get back to where she's supposed to get back to.
So we will not be, I want to say we will not be reviewing Aliens, I don't think, because that's more of an action movie. It's not a horror movie. But in that movie, they ended up finding her like a bunch of years later. She was in hypersleep for like a long time, like 70 years.
Oh, wow.
She was lost out in space. So, yeah.
Yeah, I never got into the Alien. I mean, I watched this one, of course, but I may have seen Aliens, but I never got into the whole Aliens, Predator, and all that. But
I love all of them, Mike. I know all the. I've seen them all, and like I said, that's why I knew about Prometheus and all this stuff. They're all connected. So, yep. So Mike. So yeah, there is some deleted scenes in this movie. Like I said, I thought that was a deleted scene, Mike, but I watched
the director's cut and didn't even realize I was watching that.
So it is a slow movie, right, Mike?
Yeah, I have to admit it is a slow movie.
Right, but the things that come out really, I think that makes the things that happen even more shocking. Kind of like our review last week with The Thing, how it was slow, and then when something big happened, you're like, whoa, this movie's kind of the same with like the chest burster scene, or like when he had that thing when he had the face hugger on his face, and then when the alien first attacked Brett, all that kind of really meant more because there wasn't much happening besides that. So that's how I feel about it. What about you, Mike?
I feel the same way. I mean, I got back into the movie. It'd been many years since I'd seen this. I hate to say it, probably over 10 years since I'd seen this last time. And it sucked me right back into it. Yep. I'm kind of from the old school thing. I kind of like those build up. Don't get me wrong. I like action, action horror movies as well. Like, murders right off the bat, but this one really built up well. I thought the creatures and stuff still stand the test of time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The only part I had, which you kind of disagree with me on, and that's fine, was I thought that one part was cheesy with it running across the table.
Sure.
But other than that, I mean, the blood or the slime and the goo and it coming out of the chest and all that, to me, I thought was really good. And the alien itself, they didn't show the alien a whole lot, so you never really, when you did get to see it, it was just a glimpse of it. Right. So you didn't really get to see it the whole time. I mean, it was almost 45 minutes to an hour before you really got to see the final big creature. Is probably over an hour into the movie.
Right, and unlike in another movie that waited 45 minutes to show their main character, the alien actually had a good impact on the movie, right, Mike?
Yeah, this is not Alien Ends, right?
Yeah, this ain't Alien Ends. But no, so flamethrowers. Out of 1 out of 5 flamethrowers, Mike, what are you giving this movie your rating, buddy?
I'm going to give it a 4 to 4.5. I thought it was really good. To me, 3 is average. I thought it was really good, especially for the time period, 1979. I thought I think the total dollars on this was $16 million spent for the crew and the set and everything. Great job with the spaceship.
Yeah.
Great job with the alien.
The miniatures.
And it does kind of build up, but with the music and the score and the darkness of this, because this is a dark ship the whole time, I thought it was a really good movie. I'd give it a 4 to 4.5.
Yeah, I think one of the things it does well is makes you feel real claustrophobic.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is happening in very tight, tiny spaces. Yeah. Like I said, our last movie, the Thing, kind of did that too, where it was like it all kind of is in a building and like the snow and all that. But this is done better than that because it is in a spaceship, And so yeah, I'm giving it 3.5.
Okay.
I give it a little less than you because it was slower to me than that. So and there wasn't the intrigue like I had with the Thing. Like what is doing the killing in this, and you know who it is. So like I said, I'll give it a 3.5. I really enjoyed it though, Mike. I thought it was really good. I like the cast. I think the cast is really good. I like Tom Skerritt. I like, of course, Sigourney Weaver, mm-hmm. who is, in later movies becomes even more of a badass as Ripley. So yeah, I love the character, and yeah, it's really good. And we got some facts about the movie we're going to go over right here, Mike.
Yeah, so I'll go over them real quick. So it was originally called Star Beast instead of Alien. And Ripley originally was written as a male character. They went back later on, and it said even in the screenplay that it could be a man or a female, but they went back. Originally it was a male, but they went back and changed it and gave it to, made it as a female character. So I thought that was awesome. And also what shocked me was Ash was not in the original script. Some of the fun facts I saw, Ash was just a human being, a regular person, a regular crew member. But then they went back and wrote him in as an android. And even after the movie came out, the main guy, their director, is like, who gives a shit about, he didn't say that, but who gives a damn about an android or a robot? But I thought that really added to the movie. I liked that because it made me wonder, is this mothership, and they kept calling it mothership, motherboard. It all makes sense. Were they really behind it with crew members or this android? What else? Who else could have been an android? After he came out, he was like one. I was like, was there another member here that's an android?
Well, see, this plays another part in the next movie. There's another android in it, Bishop, and he's actually a good guy though. But but he is the same. He's like a more advanced model than Ash. But he's played by the great Lance Hendrickson.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, he's an important part of the movie in the second one. And yeah, so but yeah, it all goes into that, Mike, better. Like, but yeah, the Android thing is a great twist. I love it. I think it was great.
Yep. So this movie grossed over $100 million. Now, some of the communication originally from, I think, MGM and some of the other ones was that hey, we lost money. It wasn't but $1 million or $2 we made. Come to find out, it made a lot more money than that. And the budget on this thing was $11 million for back then. I think I said $16 million earlier, but it was $11 million on it.
Yeah.
One thing that was shocking was it said cast members regularly passed out on set.
Is that because of the confined quarters and the heat and stuff?
Because
probably
of the heat and how hot it was, and then the spaceship. I mean, the suits they were having to wear. They had to hire a nurse full time, and she kept an oxygen tank with her and an oxygen mask so she could give the actors that, you know, if they started feeling woozy and was going to pass out. The actual alien is a 6'10" Nigerian student that played the lead alien.
I see.
And he was seen in a bar in London. He was like a graphic art student, and one of the people with the casting saw him and started talking to him, and he played had no acting skills whatsoever, but he played the alien. The egg required hydraulics, hand shadows, and Caltrite to make it, you know, move and all that gooiness and stuff like that. I thought that was kind of cool. This was a really cool one too, was the set that they were doing this on. The Who, you know, the band The Who, Roger Daltrey helped with the lighting and
wow.
Yeah, that was really cool. He loaned out some of his lighting equipment so they could use it on the set. So I thought that was really cool. And then on the chest burster scene, the actors knew something was going to happen, but didn't get to see it. And they were also prepping before this. They were given like ponchos to wear to not get stuff all over their clothes. But the reactions from the actors in the movie are the real reactions in real life, because they did not know that was going to happen.
Yeah, I love it.
And Ash's innards were made from milk, caviar, pasta, and marbles. And that was Ash was the android that came out with all the white stuff everywhere, but it was milk, caviar, pasta, and marbles was what was inside of him.
Some cool facts there, Mike. So you see that picture of that alien egg that you had up there? That's a famous picture for this movie, but that's actually not how the egg even opens. It opens from the top.
It opens from the top.
That's a famous shot. You know what I mean? It's weird how they do that, you know? But yeah, like I said, I enjoyed it. I think you should definitely go watch it. What are you doing here if you haven't seen it? Also, I think our next review, what is our next movie review, Mike?
You're going to put me on the spot there, Josh. I might have to edit this back out. I'm drawing a blank. What do we say we're going to do? Oh,
Blair Witch.
Blair Witch. Yeah, that's right. Blair Witch. The Blair Witch Project. Got to watch that again this week.
Yep.
There's some scenes in that movie that make the hair on my arm stand up still thinking about it, man.
Yep, that's the next review. So like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you think of Alien. It definitely is a horror movie, in my opinion. I mean, it's a horror movie.
That's
for sure. It's categorized as a horror movie.
In the comments, let us know if you thought it was a horror movie or not. Maybe if you're younger and you went back and watched it, you may have a different thought on it. But I remember back in the day, it was a scary horror movie.
Yes.
And I was, I was 8 years old when that came out. So
yep.
Thank you guys again. Y'all have a good one. Thank you, Josh.
See ya.
Thanks. Bye.